We all know what Bronny went through a year ago. To go through that and make it back from that and be within the NBA within a year. And I actually think Bronny is going to end up being a better pro than a lot of these players in this draft because has the athleticism, has the basketball IQ, plays the game the right way. I think he's going to be a good shooter.
What's going on, everybody? Listen to this. Draymond Green came out in defense of Bronny James, and the internet reacted exactly the way you probably expected. It turned on him almost immediately. 1 second, Draymond was saying Bronny has earned respect for the work he's put in, and the next second, social media was labeling him biased, delusional, and nothing more than another LeBron ally trying to protect the James family legacy. That alone shows just how explosive the Bronny conversation has become. These days, it feels like you can't even defend the kid without instantly getting pulled into the middle of the debate. And hold up, that's where the real tension begins. Bronny James is no longer viewed as just a young guard trying to find his place in the NBA. He's become a symbol that means something different depending on who you ask. Some fans see him as the face of nepotism, while others believe he's a young player taking unfair criticism simply because of the last name on the back of his jersey. Lakers fans are split between seeing him as a long-term development project or an unnecessary distraction. Meanwhile, LeBron's biggest critics use Bronny as another opportunity to question LeBron's influence around the league. So when Draymond Green steps into the discussion and says Bronny earned his opportunity, many people aren't hearing basketball analysis anymore. They're hearing loyalty and politics. And that's exactly why this story exploded. Everyone already knows Draymond and LeBron have shared a close relationship for years. So the moment Draymond defended Bronny, plenty of fans immediately started questioning his intentions instead of listening to what he actually said. They argued, of course he's backing Bronny, that's LeBron's guy. Others claimed he wouldn't be showing the same support if Bronny had a different last name. Then came the familiar response, stop pretending this is only about basketball. And man, that's when the conversation really starts going off the rails. Because someone can have a friendship with LeBron and still make a completely fair point about Bronny's situation.
Not longer. Don't talk to me about nepotism being something new. It's been here. Nobody said anything.
Now here's what really started all of this. Bronny James has been facing non-stop criticism ever since the Lakers selected him with the 55th overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft. And listen to this, that draft position actually matters because players taken that late usually aren't expected to make an immediate impact in the NBA. They're viewed as long-term projects. Most of them spend time in the G League, develop their skills, battle through growing pains, build confidence, and hopefully earn a bigger role over time. But Bronny was never judged like a typical 55th overall pick. From day one, he was judged as LeBron James's son, and that completely changed the expectations surrounding him. When Draymond defended Bronny, his main point was simple. This is a young player who has worked to earn every opportunity in front of him. He wasn't just handed a roster spot because of his father's name. Bronny entered the league as a legitimate prospect with a strong high school resume, overcame a frightening health scare, made it to USC, heard his name called on draft night, and is now trying to grow into a professional player like countless young prospects before him. Draymond never claimed Bronny was already a superstar. He argued that people were acting as if the kid had accomplished absolutely nothing, and in his view, that criticism wasn't fair. But hold up, the internet wasn't buying that explanation. Critics immediately pointed to Bronny's numbers at USC and asked, where's the production? They highlighted the fact that he averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists during his college season. For many of them, those statistics became the entire foundation of their argument that he never should have been drafted in the first place. They insisted another player with the same production wouldn't have been selected by the Lakers. And man, that's why they believe LeBron's influence opened the door, while Draymond's defense is simply another example of NBA stars protecting one of their own.
Ball savviness, like his basketball IQ, like he can do it all. Like I feel like he hasn't shown that he can really be elite at a lot of things, but I think he can be.
And that's the debate that just refuses to disappear. But listen to this. One major piece of the story keeps getting ignored. Bronny's freshman season at USC was anything but normal. Before he ever had a chance to settle into college basketball, he suffered a serious cardiac event that completely changed the course of his first year. He wasn't entering the season with the same clean slate as most freshmen. He was fighting his way back from something far more important than basketball itself. Now, that doesn't automatically mean he was NBA ready, but it absolutely deserves to be part of the conversation when people evaluate his development. Here's the part almost nobody wants to acknowledge. Draymond isn't really arguing that Bronny is already a finished NBA player. He's arguing that a young player deserves the opportunity to grow without becoming the internet's favorite joke. And man, those are two completely different arguments. Saying Bronny has earned time to develop is not the same thing as saying he should already be starting for the Lakers. But that kind of nuance rarely survives on social media. The moment you defend Bronny in any way, people immediately act like you're predicting he'll become the next NBA superstar. That's one of the biggest reasons fans turned on Draymond so quickly. Many of them feel Bronny has been receiving special treatment from the beginning. They've watched LeBron defend him, Shaquille O'Neal speak up for him, Kevin Garnett tell everyone to let the kid breathe, and now Draymond has stepped into that same conversation. For fans who already believe Bronny's career is being protected by some of basketball's biggest names, every new defense only strengthens that belief. On the other hand, people who think the criticism has gone way too far see those voices as necessary because the negativity has become louder than any discussion about Bronny's actual game. The reality is probably somewhere between those two extremes. Bronny hasn't done enough yet to be beyond criticism. He still needs to become a more reliable shooter. He has to get more comfortable creating offense when defenders pressure him. He also needs to prove he can consistently defend at the NBA level over an extended period. Nobody should ignore those legitimate questions. But hold up, the other side of this story is just as important. Most players selected with the 55th pick are never placed under this kind of microscope. A typical late second-round pick can average only a few points in limited minutes, and nobody turns it into a national headline. A normal developmental guard can spend time in the G League, and everyone simply calls it part of the process. Bronny makes one mistake, and suddenly the entire James family is trending online. That's the double standard Draymond appears to be pushing back against. The truth is, Bronny can benefit from his last name while still putting in real work behind the scenes.
The Lakers could have appreciated the father-son storyline while also believing he has legitimate developmental upside. LeBron's influence may have helped create the opportunity, but Bronny still has to prove he belongs every single time he steps onto the floor. And that kind of balanced perspective doesn't always go viral because it's a lot easier for people to argue in extremes than deal with the full picture. Draymond Green is such an interesting person to hear from because fans already have strong opinions about him before he even opens his mouth. Some people respect his championship resume, his basketball IQ, and the fact that he speaks his mind, while others believe he'll always find a way to defend LeBron James whenever the opportunity comes up. So when Draymond says something positive about Bronny, the reaction isn't just about Bronny anymore. It instantly becomes a conversation about Draymond's credibility too. People didn't simply disagree with his comments, they mocked them. They acted like Draymond was serving as the James family's personal spokesperson instead of giving his honest basketball opinion. And listen to this. It's fair to admit Bronny probably wouldn't receive this level of attention if his father weren't LeBron James. That part is obvious. But attention has two sides. It can open opportunities, but it also creates a level of pressure and criticism that most young NBA players never have to deal with. And man, that's where things become dangerous. Once a young player becomes more famous for the debates surrounding him than for what he actually does on the court, his development can easily get lost in the noise. Every possession becomes social media content. Every missed jumper turns into a meme. Every rough NBA moment suddenly becomes proof that critics were right all along. That's not a healthy environment for any young player trying to grow. Development takes patience, and the internet usually has none. If you remove the emotions from the conversation, Bronny's current path actually makes a lot of sense. He's getting valuable minutes with the South Bay Lakers in the G League, touching the ball more often, learning through real game experience, and gradually building confidence. His production there has already shown improvement compared to what he did at USC. That doesn't automatically mean he's ready to become a full-time Lakers rotation player tomorrow. It simply means he's improving exactly where young prospects are supposed to improve. Hold up, this is where a lot of young players make the biggest mistake. They start competing against social media comments instead of competing against the players in front of them. Bronny can't afford to fall into that trap. His best path forward is actually the least flashy one. Play tough defense, make the right basketball reads, knock down open shots, and keep getting better every single season. Bronny doesn't have to become a superstar to prove he belongs in the NBA. If he develops into a dependable defensive guard who can shoot, make smart decisions, and help a winning team, that's a legitimate career. And for someone drafted 55th overall, that would absolutely be considered a success.
But fans rarely want to discuss realistic expectations. They prefer extreme narratives. Either Bronny is a complete bust or he's secretly proving everyone wrong. The truth is far more complicated than that. His last name may have helped create opportunities, but it also made every mistake louder than it would have been for almost anyone else. Draymond understands what it's like to build an NBA career around mastering a specific role. He was never known as a traditional, high-volume scorer. Instead, he became a champion through defense, passing, leadership, basketball IQ, and countless little things that rarely show up in the box score. Maybe that's why he sees qualities in Bronny that a lot of fans overlook: his feel for the game, his toughness, his awareness, his defensive upside, and his willingness to keep working. While many fans are judging Bronny almost entirely through statistics and personal opinions, Draymond may be evaluating him through long-term development, basketball traits, and the process it actually takes to become an NBA player. Those are two completely different ways of looking at the same player. Neither perspective is perfect, because while statistics absolutely matter, context matters just as much. If Bronny ultimately isn't good enough to stick in the NBA, the league will make that decision on its own. NBA organizations don't keep players around forever simply because of a famous last name. But hold up, Bronny is still in the early stages of his journey. Declaring his career a failure right now isn't real analysis, it's simply impatience. He still has plenty to prove. He has to continue developing with the South Bay Lakers, make smarter decisions, improve his overall game, and earn the trust of coaches who care far more about winning than social media headlines. Draymond defending him doesn't accomplish any of that work. Only Bronny can prove he belongs through his own performance. But listen to this. If you've already convinced yourself that Bronny will never deserve success simply because he's LeBron James' son, then you're no longer evaluating his game objectively. You're just waiting for anything that confirms the opinion you already had. So the real question is this: did fans turn on Draymond because what he said was actually unreasonable, or because Bronny James has become the one young player nobody can discuss without emotions taking over? Because if simply saying a 55th overall pick deserves the chance to develop is enough to make people furious, then maybe the story isn't only about Bronny anymore. Maybe the internet has already reached its verdict, and anyone asking for patience automatically becomes the next target. And that's what makes this entire conversation so fascinating. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.